Spanish Parliament approves, only yes means yes. Consent Bill, Spain.
Here's a summary of the article.
Spain's parliament has approved a bill that makes consent a key determinant in sexual assault cases, freeing survivors of having to prove that violence or intimidation was used against them. The bill, popularly known as Only Yes Means Yes, seeks to tackle the nebulous definition of consent in Spanish law. The new bill defines consent as an explicit expression of a person's will, making it clear that silence or passivity do not equal consent. From today, Spain is a freer, safer country for all women, she told Parliament. The bill had long been championed by the Spain's left-wing coalition government, with only the Conservative Popular Party and the far-right Vox Party voting against it. The draft bill includes other measures such as obliging minors who commit sexual crimes to undergo sex education, gender equality training, and creating a network of 24-hour crisis centers for survivors of sexual assault and their family members. The sentences prompted widespread protests and calls for Spain to join the dozen other countries in Europe that define rape as sex without consent, according to a 2020 analysis by Amnesty International.
This post received a score of 40,000, with an upvote ratio of 90%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The definition for consent in my state is as follows. Consent for sexual activity means cooperation in act or attitude pursuant to an exercise of free will and with knowledge of the nature of the act. A current or previous relationship shall not be sufficient to constitute consent. Submission under the influence of fear shall not constitute consent. It would seem that under Spanish law, this would not be consent, since consent has to be express.
So actively participating is consent. Edit. She is giving an example of non-verbal consent, not saying that's the only way to consent.
In my dating years I always went with enthusiastic consent, whether it be verbal or through participation. If I wasn't getting that, I wasn't having sex.
I've never understood how it could be otherwise. If she isn't into it, what possible enjoyment could be had?
Seeing them enjoying it and getting lost in the pleasure is the best part and makes everything better. Almost everyone agrees the best sexual acts are when people are enthusiastic and genuinely loving it.
Yes, my girlfriend was raped and abused before I got with her, so sometimes she'll say yes to make me feel better, but how can I possibly do it if she's uncomfortable and won't enjoy it?
I think this is very important as a symbolic move. But unless the accused has a completely clueless attorney at their side or has talked to someone else about the act, they will claim to have had explicit consent in court, at which point it's a question of who's closer to the truth in their statements, which is very hard to assess and rarely conclusive enough for a rape conviction. Yes, it would have gotten the accused in the convicted, which is the main motivation for this law, but that was hardly a typical rape case, with the perps recording the rape and sharing it on social media.
Greater than yes, it would have gotten the accused in the Wolfpack case convicted, which is the main motivation for this law, but that was hardly a typical rape case, with the perps recording the rape and sharing it on social media. This seems like a strange argument. You seem to be saying that sharing recordings of the rape made it harder to convict them. The reality is the old rape laws in Spain were not fit for purpose and essentially left a loophole for raping people.
That's not what I intended to say. What made it harder to convict them according to the old law was that the rape victim was overcome by fear and could offer no resistance, which means the perpetrators didn't violate the no means no principle. The existence of the video would have made it easier to convict them under the new law. But if there was no video, the new law probably wouldn't have made it much easier to convict them. That's all very hypothetical, of course.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.